What's up, everybody? It's the Scripted Legend bringing you guys another YouTube video, and we're covering Staked. All right, we talked about them on the previous video. If you missed out on that video, please be sure to check that video out. Link will be in the description. If not, you can look at the top right corner of your screen and you will see the title card for that video as well. But anyways, let's get into this next part of breaking down and going into the giving a full insight into Staked, right? This is looking at their audit from Interfi. Now, we've seen Interfi do multiple audits for a plethora of cryptocurrencies, and they do solid audits at that. And when I ran through this audit, or not ran through, I was thinking ran through because I want to run through this audit with y'all or for y'all, but I did a deep dive so that I could run through it quickly. And after reviewing this audit, and asking the teams questions about, hey, there were some criticals, there were some major issues that they named, and there were some minor issues. Some of those minor issues were things like coding. They were just coding, not coding. When I say coding issues or coding minor issues, it was more so of the way that the code was written. For example, you can see here when we look at the risk types, the criticals are these are risks that could be exploited easily and can lead to asset loss, asset or data manipulation. They should be fixed right away. And then when we go to the major risk, these are risks that are hard to exploit but very important to fix. They carry on elevated risk of the smart contract manipulation, which can lead to high risk severity. The minor issues, we're going to skip over the medium because they didn't state anything about the medium. The minor are these risks do not pose a considerable threat to the contract or those who interact with it. They are code style violations and deviations from standard practices. They should be highlighted and fixed nonetheless. So this is just showing that even if it's not going to really it's not going to interrupt the project's functionality, the smart contracts functionality written within the cryptocurrency itself, it doesn't, like, they still care enough about them for the team to at least acknowledge them, right? And fix them. Not just acknowledge them, but fix them. And we can see the different status types definitions. The open means that the risks are open, which means they have not been even acknowledged. Acknowledged means that they have been acknowledged by the team but not fixed. If it's fixed though, then it will be resolved. For example, an open risk would be, let's say for example, you and you realize there's something, a trait about your girlfriend, right? There's a trait about your girlfriend that you do not, or boyfriend, by the way, or husband or wife, whatever. We're gonna keep it in the boyfriend and girlfriend phase. But there's an aspect of your girlfriend and or boyfriend that you are noticing that you don't really like, right? That might be an issue down the line. That is an open status issue, or, but yeah, it's open status issue. If you then have the discussion with her or him, hey, why do you do this thing? Or could you stop doing this thing? That means that the risk is now acknowledged. If they say, yeah, I'll stop, then that means that it is resolved. If they say, well, I did it because I do this thing because of Z reason, it is acknowledged. And if you have not come to peace with those terms, then it is still considered and just acknowledged, even if it's not even resolved. If the thing that the risk is not stopped or it is not cleaned up, then that is still considered an acknowledged risk. Okay, so now since we've given the analogy, we've broke down what these different terms mean. Let's move forward into this contract, or to this audit. These are the functionalities. I'm scrolling real fast, but I should go into details about what these different things mean. These are different functions written within the staked contract. These different functions have different functionalities, and they have the emojis that state what these are for. Function modifies states. Function is payable. Function is internal. And the function is private. If it's private, I don't think we need to get too much into detail about this, but I can go through a quick rundown. Private means that it is private. That means that all the variables that are set within those functions are not able to leave that private project or not leave that function. If you want those keys or you want those variables that are within those functions, for example, swap tokens for BNB, you will have to call the function, but you cannot call the variables outside of that function, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense for some. There's also the function is internal, function is payable. Function is payable means that it is dealing with money. If I can find an example of a function is payable, then here we go. Swap ETH for tokens supporting fee on transfer tokens. You can see there's money, but then it says it is not they have a no for not important, I'm guessing. Uh, and then you also have the function modified states. The function is important, meaning if it's important that it plays a key role in the whole functionality of the contract. Henceforth, the initializing the cryptocurrency itself. That is a beginner. That is like that is the foundation of the contract itself. It is excluded from anti-well, exclude from fees, withdrawal token, important functions to have. Set BUSD, exclude from dividend tracker, set distributor gas. Some of these are marked as important, but they're not important for every cryptocurrency to have, by the way. It's just important for based off of the goals that Stake is trying to achieve for them to have in their contract. And it is known that it's very important. So that is a quick little rundown of this. If you would like to view this page, then please be sure to pause throughout this video so that you may view all these functions. But this is kind of the boring part, I'm not gonna lie. Um, me personally, I did not look at it through this view. I looked at the contract itself, so I already knew what I was looking for when it came to these cryptocurrency, or when it came to this audit. You then also see how the diagram is set up for the inheritance graph. If you are not familiar with what inheritance means, we're going deep level into tech, but hey, this is what these are for. When it comes to this chart, this is basically saying who adopts who. We're seeing that Staked is the parent. If you want to break this down into very layman terms, look at it as ancestral chart, right, or diagram. Staked is the original male or female of this family, right? Then it has its descendants, the ERC20 upgradable, which means an ownable upgradable, and UUPSU upgradable. Um, that means that these three functions contain variables from staked, right? And they are within the staked function. They also have functions within them. And some of the functions that they have within them are shared with other functions. And then they'll also have these variables or other functions within them that are within, see, you can see it's right here within the you can see that the IERC 20 upgradable is within the IERC 20 metadata upgradable and the ERC 20 upgradable. And then you can see the same thing here, because basically I feel like these can be left out, but I can understand why they placed it there, just for to remove any confusion. But this basically, if initialize is within context upgradable, and if initialize is within ERC 1967 upgradable, then that means that it's within ERC 20 upgradable and UUPS upgradable. So I don't know why they have that function there. That's kind of confusing, especially because I was gonna say you would want to do the same thing with staked. You might as well just bring the staked over and say, hey, this bad boy is within staked as well, but I don't think it's even needed in the first place. So, but it's just showing the depth that they've gone to. These are, you can look at these as packages. So Safe Math is almost a package. IRC 20 is a package. Safe Math adds packages of mathematic equations in the form of functions that are already presetly made so that you can call them and say, hey, if if someone buys X or buys stake, then add or convert da 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 to their USDT to their stake and add that to their wallet, right? So that's where you can, it saves you time for coding. And iPancake router 02 or extra packages outside that do not, and these basically mean that they're not being called or within the stake within this diagram. They're all outsiders, but they're still being utilized in the same sense. So they are still crucial and needed and play a role. And so does the Pancake Router 02 to Pancake Router 01. I think we've talked enough about that, and you can also see the dividend distributor. But they just go into details, man. You're seeing how much they go into the details of these things. So one of the severity issues, or one of the issues, is the privilege role, performing pause contract, centralization of privileges of stake. And I'm just going to state this very soon and very early. These issues are not ones to cry a river about. They're expected. This one isn't. The centralization privileges of stake are issues. Centralization privilege issues are going to be found in almost 90% of every DeFi project that you find. It doesn't mean they're a rug pull. It just means that, like, they fail centralization privilege test because of the way the contract is written, where it is set in stone that if a buyer does this, then they will receive this, right? And or if they sell, then they are forfeiting. Even if they buy, they are forfeiting a portion of their funds, and if they sell, they are forfeiting a portion of their funds. So those are where some of those centralization privileges come into play. And crypto is all about decentralization, or a majority of cryptocurrencies are about decentralizations, and giving your holders a lot of value, or giving them more control. Henceforth, why you have these issues pop up as major. But it is not that big of a concern, ladies and gentlemen. You'll find this in your Evergrow coin. You'll find this in your SquidGrow. You'll find this in many cryptocurrency projects, especially in like I said, the ones in DeFi. The initial asset distribution. This is a minor severity. All of the initially minted assets are sent to the contract deployer when deploying the contract. This can be an issue as the deployer and or contract owner can distribute tokens without consulting the community. So this is where you want to be sure to make sure that you are involved, where we do our research on the contract owner or the deployer, which is the heads of the project. Okay, so the deployer and the deployer and the contract owners are the head of the cryptocurrency itself, and we're going to go into more details about who they are. Another one was a privileged role receiving LP tokens. Smart contract function add liquidity, sends liquidity to liquidity receiver. Now this was talked about, and they want to add new tokens to the liquidity pool. They are saying, though, send LP tokens to dead address or unreachable address. So there's different ways to, go about it. And they said that, hey, this isn't a bad, it's not a high risk. It's not even a medium risk. But we would prefer, like, you just set the LP at a dead address or unreachable address, and we've seen Shiba Inu do things like that. And I believe Shiba Inu has a score of 99 on Certic Audit, and Shiba Inu basically says we wrote a contract and this token is booming. That's basically Shiba Inu. In a vacuum, that's Shiba Inu's contract. They wrote a simple cryptocurrency project and it's booming. There's no like there's no other way around it. Role removing pair. Privileged role removing privileged role can call remove pair, and they go into details about this. The current trading pair, pancake swap pair, should not be removed from automated market makers. So they question why that was even put there. And that's a question that we can ask the team. Now, I asked them about the use of proxy and upgradable contracts, which basically means that they can alter the taxes when they please. And they stated not basically stated they are planning to change these things when change taxes when the time of launching that mobile application comes out. So when the mobile application comes out, they want to change the tax so that it is more friendly for the people that are utilizing the application, if that makes sense. So those who are on the application, those restaurants and stores, those drivers, those customers are not paying such a hefty tax anymore, where they lower that tax to something like 5%, and it just brings a lot more profit for the company and for the cryptocurrency because we're offering people lower fees than other competitors are. And there's some more risks that are in here. Potential sandwich attacks. Potential sandwich attacks happen when an attacker observes a transaction swapping tokens or adding liquidity without setting restrictions on slippage or minimum output amount. The attacker can manipulate the exchange rate by front running a transaction to purchase assets and make profits by back running a transaction to sell assets. Below mentioned functions are called without setting restrictions on slippage or minimum output. These functions should be provided reasonable minimum output amounts instead of zero. Read more on this link that they sent you. And there's even more and more knowledge. I don't want you guys to feel like I'm just running through this very quickly, because I'm not doing it to like distract you guys from these issues. These are some things that if you are concerned, ask the team about. Like, don't be afraid. My opinion, don't be afraid to ask the team about an issue that you have or a concern that you have. They are worth mentioning. And I will also note this, as we read earlier, if I'm not being stood correctly, every issue was marked as acknowledged. So that should give you a little bit more peace tonight as you wait for the next AMA. But here's another thing, you don't have to wait for the next AMA, right? You can go to the team in Discord and talk to them there and figure out for yourself, hmm, hey, I got this question. Like I said, yeah, all of these are acknowledged. There's two medium that were not acknowledged, and all the minors, even I don't know why it says six were acknowledged, but all the minors were acknowledged. The critical was acknowledged, the major was acknowledged, and the two oh, so there's two medium, there's two open, there's four minor, so 10 minors in total, two medium in total, two one critical, one major. Therefore, 14 risks were found in this executive summary. Now, I think this is a really good audit. It shared a lot of knowledge and let us know about a couple things. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, then please, 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 please be sure to comment down below your questions. And not only that, but also join the Discord and talk to the teams themselves about the issues that you had. Speaking of Discord, let's go over and talk about some of those team members so you can get yourself familiar with those individuals. This video has gotten up to 20 minutes long though, so I'm going to make another video talking about the team in a very brief way, but it is going to be very brief, and I just want you guys to check it out and so I can see you at the next time. All right. Now, I want to state this. This token is paying me to talk about them and give them an honest review. All right. So keep that all in mind as you are doing your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not at all financial advice, but I do like the things I've heard and seen from Staked thus far. Love you all. Have a blessed one. Stay safe. Peace.